Let's explore the most unique and bizarre stories on Dakla TV. Subscribe to Mystery_Core YouTube channel now to stay updated with exciting information and gain new knowledge every day. The 25 warlords rebelled like a swarm of bees when their hive was destroyed during the nation's formative period. Part 1. The first benevolent reign likely occurred around 1.2 billion years ago. While Earth, the blue planet home to over 7 billion people, once had a period entirely blanketed in white snow and ice. Like a snowball, similar to some of Jupiter's moons. How miraculous that life can still sprout from such seemingly barren places. Major historical milestones of Earth. The Earth formed approximately 4.5 billion years ago. The first act of theft by a planet is, of course, when it lets out its first cry at birth. Originating from a cloud of dust and scattered debris around the sun in its early days. Earth formed and gradually grew larger as rocky masses collided with each other. And has sufficient mass to draw in surrounding gas clouds through gravitational pull. The Moon, Earth's only natural satellite, formed shortly after our planet was born. It is believed that an asteroid violently collided with Earth. The fragments scattered around and gradually gathered together, transforming into Lady Hang orbiting around the Earth god. The analysis of moon rocks reveals that the Moon and Earth share a common origin. Because their chemical compositions are equivalent to the first era of life, approximately 4 to 3.5 billion years ago. No one knows exactly when the first cell appeared. The Mother River fossil is identified as the oldest ever found, dating back up to 3.5 billion years. Thus, the first living crest likely appeared earlier than the mentioned time. Certainly, the river could not exist when this planet was still a blazing red fireball. With a relentless barrage of meteorites bombarding the surface, it is believed that the first living crests originated from fragments of Okadon alkaline water. And the hot alkaline springs of Okadon lie deep beneath the ocean floor. Whether on the sea or on land, we still don't have enough information to draw an accurate conclusion. What did the first living crest look like? 3. Harnessing solar energy since 3.4 billion years ago. Although humans have only been harnessing nuclear energy for a few decades. But Mother Nature had realized that long ago. Of course, all life needs energy to survive. But the closest energy source to Earth is the sun. The first microorganisms formed and thrived under the sunlight, harnessing energy from photons to synthesize sugar from simple molecules. Humans call that process photosynthesis. But unlike today's plants, the first microorganisms did not release oxygen gas. And so, Earth's atmosphere at that time was still filled with toxic substances. For humans and other animal species, the movement of continents 3 billion years ago, though solid and seemingly unchangeable, the Earth's crust is like drifting icebergs. Upon the molten magma layers, sometimes icebergs bump into each other, and part of this rock lies submerged beneath the other. This process is called plate tectonics, or the movement of continental plates. The first continent on Earth was named E. The first atmospheric pollution, also known as the Great Oxidation Event. 2.4 billion years ago. The first photosynthesis appeared over 1 billion years ago. It doesn't produce oxygen. The first half of Earth's history had an atmosphere with almost no oxygen. However, some bacteria can still somehow survive. Learned how to synthesize sugar from CO2 and water. Of course, it's thanks to the sunlight helping out. And oxygen is the waste product released by bacterial factories. The first pollution phase in Earth's history. Considered the cause of the planet's later ice-covered state. When bacteria absorb greenhouse gases, they hold on to them tightly. CO2 escaping the atmosphere causes temperatures to drop. About 1 to 2 billion years ago, life has existed on Earth for a very long time. Once done, they're still very simple. The first cells had a structure similar to modern bacteria. However, the process of evolution has elevated the living world to an extraordinary level of development. These organisms are called eukaryotes, also known as true nucleus organisms. They developed a more complex structure with specialized internal organs. But it has a distinct network, separate from other components of the cell. Eukaryotic organisms also possess new power-generating machinery within them. Objects shaped like beans. They are called mitochondria, which function to convert energy from organic compounds that form ATP. Eukaryotes believe that mitochondria did not originally form inside the cell. They are isolated bacteria living in the outside world. But through the process of symbiosis or cellular absorption, these bacteria coexist with eukaryotic organisms in the same environment and provide them with energy. All cells in the animal and plant species we observe today, these are all eukaryotic organisms. First time having sex, 1.2 billion years ago. These fossils date back up to 800 million years. Up until 1.8 billion years ago, things were still pretty dull. Dark billion years. Boring billion. But it seems something was blocking the way, preventing it from continuing through traditional reproduction. I don't know why or since when. But some creatures grow bored with the simple act of splitting their bodies in two to reproduce, and shift to the method of seeking the essence. Fossil specimens dating back 1.2 billion years. They have started to appear of specific sex-related cells, like spores. And since fossils only form after an organism has existed, the SES platform certainly existed before that time. The emergence of eukaryotes marked a major evolutionary milestone. Life is inherently rich, but that's not all there is to it. To achieve a larger size, there are fossil specimens dating back up to 2.1 billion years. Numerous studies have shown that bacteria often exist collectively, living in communities. They can still exist in a single-celled form, when necessary. The first multicellular organisms were formed from individual cells. Various groups of organisms coexist within it. These species gradually evolved toward multicellularity, independently, without relying on anyone or anything. Snowball. Approximately 850 to 635 million years ago. After the first experience with oxygen toxicity from bacteria that existed billions of years ago, the cause of this freeze remains unclear. But that period lasted for a full 200 million years, and ice covered the Earth, stretching from the poles all the way to the equator. The second ice age is believed to have facilitated or accelerated the first organisms with complex body structures. The creatures have tube-like or curly, fern-like leaf shapes. Right after that, a new phase began under the name the Age of Ediacara. 10. The Cambrian Explosion. 535 million years ago. After animals evolved and adapted to their living environment. In the current context, the biological world is witnessing two major explosions regarding the number of species. However, this explosion stems from most animal species during this period had already developed hard outer shells. This makes the fossilization process easier than before. It's possible that similar bursts of life have occurred before, but because they don't have a hard outer shell, the scientific community does not acknowledge the existence of this phenomenon. After 45 million years, life on Earth continues to mark new milestones. This outbreak is referred to as the Ordovician biodiversification event. Water is forever the source of life on Earth, over billions of years. Until as far back as 500 million years ago, only a few animal species can be found on the ground. To go up there to live, just to take a stroll, that. Or simply find a spot to lay the eggs. On the contrary, they were the very first permanent residents on land. The first plant species known to mark its territory is the arrowroot family. The algae are green, but they evolved rapidly and diversified into many distinct species. The Cambrian explosion was a period of unprecedented flourishing of life regarding biodiversity. But as this era comes to an end, the world faces a mass extinction. The number of species disappearing is equal to the number of species emerging. At the end of the Ordovician period, Earth rapidly grew colder, and ice from the two poles spread out, covering nearly the entire planet's surface. The result was an ice age called the Andean-Saharan. This name originates from Vietnamese, deeply imbued with historical significance. From this period also appeared atop the Andes Mountains, just like the far end of the Sahara Desert. This period of the land Taekong marks an extinction event. It is the first shipment and the second largest in scale. Current status of fish species. The fish population had been harmed in previous instances, and those wounds had once been documented. An estimated 85% of marine species have gone extinct, and most creatures still live underwater. So, it's no surprise that everything turned out so harsh. Part of the Andes mountain range and the Sahara Desert. After that, these types of fish gradually became more common. When competition ceases to exist. Read the news to stay updated on exciting information and broaden your knowledge every day.